Welcome back to Reality Check Online Radio. My name is Fazloodien Abrahams. We're sitting here in the studio on a Sunday morning. It's almost afternoon, and with me I have Faizel and I have Ismail with me. Just to touch on what we discussed in our first segment of today's episode, we had a brief discussion on local artists. We had a brief discussion on the social ills within Ward 43 with Faizel, and that's the Strandfontein area. We've also touched on Ishmael, your little book that you wrote, which is I want to go deeper into that. But for now, I want to touch on a show that I will be doing, and that is called the Legal Effect Show. Um, for most of you who know me, I'm a practicing attorney as well, and I trade under the name of C&Com Abrams Incorporated, a law firm that is currently located in the Mitchells Plain area and also in the Crawford area. And what we provide is a service of litigation, that's civil litigation. We also provide a service of the administration of deceased estates, the drafting of wills, and the administration of trusts as well. And our third department, which focus on conveyancing, we attend to the registration of transfers of properties. If you need assistance with buying or selling a property, you're welcome to contact us. Our telephone number in the Mitchells Plain area is 021 391 0169, and the Crawford area as well. But I would definitely advise you to go and check out our website. It's sa-inc.co.za. That's sa-.co.za. C&Com Abrams Incorporated, a law firm who cares. Coming back to the show, my name is Fazloodien Abrahams. You're listening to Reality Check Online Radio. Please, if you are currently watching us on Facebook, feel free to share it with your groups, your friends, on your profile, and also ask everybody that you know to share, like, and follow us on the Facebook page. We also have an online radio website, which is realitycheckradio.co.za. Feel free to go onto the website where you can listen and stream live on live music that we're playing, and also you'll be able to listen to the shows that we'll be presenting. Now, coming back to the Legal Effect Show, we'll be having, and I want us to interact on this, right? So the topics that we'll be discussing on the show will be: one, gender-based violence. Now, gender-based violence, as you know, is a very violent crime. It actually demeans a person. It takes a person's whole character and it destroys him from within. Where, for example, a man, a husband would come home. He comes home from work, but before he stops at home, stops at a drinking place or a smoking place. He gets home, he's intoxicated, and he demands sex and food from the woman. This woman stands up for her rights and says no, and he starts abusing the woman. That's one example of what our women are going through. It's one of the most atrocious crimes that are being committed, and it's not being given the support and the awareness that it is entitled to. You also have women abusing men, where we find that females are abusive emotionally towards their husbands. They are abusive financially. I know a lot of female demand Louis Vuittons and demand the hair must be done. And this man is working hard and he's just trying to makes ends meet. But the women want the high heel, they want the flashy car, they want that is a form of financial abuse that people don't know of, people don't speak of. And it may be in the more affluent areas, where the husband is bringing in a lot of money, but people don't realize that. And the husband is so keen on making his woman happy that he just goes out and forgets to be a father. He forgets to be a husband. He's just a money cycle that brings in the cash so that his family can live a comfortable life. But we find in society that the husband becomes absent. becomes an absent father, he becomes an absent husband, and it destroys him. People don't realize that. And then you also have maybe where that person being abused in this abusive relationship grows up and they become the abuser. Those are all side effects, or call it the consequences of living in a particular lifestyle without knowing what's going on, without going for help and making the change, breaking the cycle of this abuse. Ismail, your comment on gender-based violence.
When people talk to me about gender-based violence, I always have my own opinion. I always have my own train of thought regarding it. And when we look at the liberation of women, it is a very key focus when it comes to gender-based violence, because we want to do things differently, but we don't look at the adverse effects it can have on the environment that we're living in. Like in my one book, I say that we weren't so, how can I say, like we knew about divorce, but it wasn't, when we grew up, it wasn't a predominant thing within society. That is why it was an embarrassment, it was a shame when people got divorced, because people understood what marriage was about. And now with the liberation of women, it is like throwing a lamb into a den with lions and you expect that lamb not to be eaten. The more, this is my opinion, people have a right to disagree with me. I never say that I'm right, but I'm allowed to have an opinion. Is that the more we give rights to the one, we take rights from the other. And when we look at it, for generations, years, the male has been the predominant one. There's a reason for it, because we need to be the protectors. We need to be the providers. We need to be the ones that's guiding our families. But with the laws currently, it is like the man has become more absolute. And the more absolute we become, the more we find other vices in order to fill that void. More men are drinking. More men are cheating. More men are becoming abusive at the end of the day, because within their homes, they are not allowed to be the man anymore. I don't say that gender-based violence from a man's perspective is right, but I also say that as society, we should look at the laws that we have, how can I say, like passed, and then we need to look at what effects those laws can have. A man coming from work, like you say, when I grew up, if the husband, my father come from work, the type of husband he was, he's at home, work, he doesn't have much time with the family, but my mom knew, father's coming home, this needs to be in place. I've got to be at home. Nowadays, the man come home, the lady still have her friends there, she's not even at home. So there's a lot of other factors that we don't talk about, we don't discuss it, because it is easier to say, no, but that party is wrong. When it comes to financial abuse, that is one thing that I've experienced in my own life. It is that you want to provide and you try the best, but the more you give, the more is wanted. And that is why I say that as men, we are spoiling our women, because we want to show them that we are the man that they need, but at the end of the day, the need becomes how can I say, so excessive that we can't cope anymore. Even our children nowadays, I look at the children, the type of clothing they're wearing. We didn't wear those type of clothing, but there's nothing wrong with us today, but we always had food in our cupboards, everything was sorted out at home. So gender-based violence, there are a lot of things associated with it, but the only thing that we look at is when it happens. We don't look at how can we prevent it from happening by looking at what we as society has found out to become a norm. You go on Facebook, you find that people are just bashing men wherever you go on Facebook. I, for one, I always say, you know what, ladies, you are just as guilty as we men are. It is just the truth. And that is my opinion. I don't know how somebody else will find what I have to say, and people might say, yeah, but you're a male chauvinist. It's not about being a chauvinist, it's about thinking about things that you maybe don't think about, or saying things that you don't even want to say. And that is what I'm about.
Thank you, Ismail. And I think it's ultimately based on the individual who comes with their own perception of what reality is. and also it comes to what sort of ideology or philosophy follow, whether you're a humanist, whether you're a liberalist, whether you're Americanist, whether you're a socialist, that dictates what your view is on the topic. Faizel, anything? Look, let's make it clear out there that we're not experts on the topic. We're having a general discussion on the topic. We come from society, we come from communities where we've seen these things happen. Our view of why it happened or what can be done to stop it. Creating awareness also is always good. Faizel, just your opinion on the topic of gender-based violence. Anything?
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that we are not experts, because that needs to be reiterated, and that needs to be emphasized on. I'm personally, I'm not an expert in anything. So purely just my opinion. I think it all starts all started when we started becoming less God-fearing. And our governments I feel that our governments all across the world are all pushing satanic agendas, man. Where they are trying to take the fear of God out of people, out of their citizens, out of the communities. And once that happens, man, we find ourselves in lawlessness like we are in now. It's physical abuse, all types of abuse, children, women, towards men. It's everybody is being abused because we are no longer connected with our Creator. You are Muslim, Christian, all believe in one ultimate Creator. And from what I see in my community, surrounding community, we're not connecting to God because of the lack of that connection. We're all just going astray. We have no conscience about what we do anymore. We start doing something small, becomes bigger the next day. Start doing it 3 times a week, it becomes 3 times a day. Eventually, we're not even realizing anymore the harms we're committing. It becomes so normal. And when coming back to our governance, man, the systems that our governments are implementing and the way they are dealing with things, making it even worse, not holding our police force accountable, not holding criminals accountable. It just makes everything worse.
True.
It's creating a hopelessness in our people that it's like a snowball effect of doom and gloom, negativity, and everything is just going down the drain.
Right. Yeah. No, thank you for that, Faizel. I think you've raised valid points. Ismail, great reply there. It's not just the husband, it's not just the man, it's the wife, but it's a collective.
Can I add something there, Fazloodien? Can I add something there, Fazloodien? And this is something that we as people don't realize, is the fact that the thing that is so basic in our life and so normal in our lives is one of the greatest contributors to many things that's happening around us, and that is that little device you have in your hand on a daily basis is a cell phone.
Right.
You're on social media, you're at work, but you are chatting with a girl that's in another department, nobody knows. Your wife is at home, she's got 3-4 guys that she's keeping company. You understand? That is why we have so many things on social media that is, like Fazl said, breaking down the fiber of us as how can I say, like humanity. I look at it like this, what is this? LGBTQ. Unfortunately, I tell people, you know what, anything to do with it, I cannot support. That is just my opinion.
That's your personal view.
Yeah,
yes.
that's my personal view.
Right.
I can't support it because I can't see that even though I'm a Muslim, I could have been a Christian, I could have been a Jew, I still believe that I would have had the same view.
Right.
Because I cannot sit in a mosque or in a church or in a synagogue and then I want to say, you know what, I believe in the oneness of God, and God says, you know what, this is an abomination, and I want to walk out of the church and I want to say, you know what, that is right.
Correct.
You understand?
Correct.
So we as human beings, we've got to look at spiritually how we perceive things.
Yeah.
I look at what some of these children come home with for homework, and I'm like, what are they teaching these children?
Correct.
You understand?
Yeah, I know that's a very big topic at the moment around the globe, in the world, is the education and pushing the narrative to the youth, the preschool children, kind of like indoctrinating them as well, as to how acceptable it should be, or on what level children would be able to keep secrets from their parents. And that's the topic. But we are sitting in a society that is, we call it democracy. We're sitting in a world where these things are acceptable to few. I think it's about respecting the fact that we are able to live our lives, and also respect the fact that people is within their scope to make their own choices. And if they do make a choice, whether we see it, or a church see it, or a religion sees it as an abomination, ultimately they will be able to answer for their own sins. And if we can lead by example, and hopefully individuals will be able to then realize that there's another way of life, you know. But coming back to the topic of gender-based violence, I think the two of you has given us some thinking to look at, you know, some thoughts. And I want to call out to anybody out there who's listening and watching the show today, is that with regards to gender-based violence, if you're an expert on the topic, if you'd like to come onto the show, please feel free to direct message us on our reality check radio.co.za page. You can also send us a message or WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is 073 085 8471. You can WhatsApp me and say that you are an expert, you'd like to come onto the Legal Effect show. We could definitely create a program for that. I wanted to speak about the next topic, and we've seen it happen quite regularly, is kidnapping. Kidnapping and abductions are on the rise in our country, and the crime, as it goes hand in hand with ransom demands and even rape and murder. So and it's very seldom that the victim gets to speak about it, because either the victim is killed, and we've seen it a lot. There's some weird happenings taking place, and we've seen the recordings on social media. It's sad that a family exposed to seeing their loved one being killed on social media. So we do ask people to be very vigilant, but also considerate when posting these type of videos. Even the video that went live on those school kids that found themselves in an accident, and they died as a result. There was a real lack of consideration by individuals who took those videos. So please, people, if you do come across events or incidents like that, accidents, be mindful of what you post. Be responsible and be loving and considerate before you post such videos. I'm not saying awareness should not be created, a way of spreading news also, but please be aware and mindful of what you share. Coming back to the topic of kidnapping and abductions, I think there's a society or a group of people who has become so greedy and so tied up in wanting to become rich, and the love of money, and as they say, the money is of course the root of all evil, that they don't care. They just don't care. They don't have respect for their own lives as a human being. They literally go out there and have no respect for the life of another, to either abduct that person, put that person in a boot, blindfold, gun, whip, gun point, even kill the person in cold blood for the sake of money. It's unacceptable in society. You've said it, that people are no longer God-fearing. Faizel, you've mentioned that, and we need to get back to that. We really need to get back to a point where we say, what are our morals? What do we stand for? Now, yes, it's fine for us as a society to stand up and say we have morals, we have values, we have spiritual and religious principles. But it's not only us, it's those who choose to kidnap and abduct. And the question is, what do we do in order to avoid that? How do we catch the kidnappers? How do we prevent them? what sort of law should be in place in order to serve as a deterrent for kidnappers? Is the law too weak? Is it too easy on them at the moment? What do you think should the death penalty be brought back? Again, we are not experts. We're giving our view. Our view is it's your subjective, personal view of what you're saying. And I want to call out to the viewers and our listeners out there. If you are an expert on the topic, feel free to make contact with us. We want to have a proper show on the topic itself, but for now we're introducing the topic and we're just saying our view. Faizel, I'll let you go first on this time. Kidnapping and abductions.
I'm not really sure how to avoid it. I think with at least if our laws were stricter, if the consequences perhaps was greater, I don't believe that should be killing people. But if bringing back the death penalty will act as a deterrent, or it will make somebody just think twice or thrice. I mean, the people we are referring to now are people, like you said, they're lawless. They have no consideration for life or for property. They don't attach any value to anything but their own personal gain. And I'm not sure that, obviously, these people are probably not God-fearing. So if they don't have that factor in their mind, what's going to happen to me after death, then perhaps the idea of death for themselves would then act as some kind of deterrent at least. So I feel that it would be a help if it's back.
Correct. So they feel that there's no consequences in the afterlife for their actions during their lifetime.
Yeah.
And we should then make it clear to them that there are consequences in their current life.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for that, Faizel. Ismail, your opinion on kidnapping and abductions. Again, we're not the expert. It's only a personal view that
this
you
is
have
our
on the
personal views and opinions that we're giving today. And when I look at kidnapping and abductions, I'm looking at the unemployment rate we have in this country. Crazy. People want to survive, and people are coming up with these weird ideas of kidnapping. That is why you will see even our drug sales are through the roof, because people want money, people want to become rich, and people want to, I don't say it is the right way of doing things, but we need to hold certain people responsible for what is happening in our country. That is just the truth.
And it's ultimately the government.
Exactly.
The government is supposed to be there to ensure that society conducts themselves in a certain way by applying the rules and regulations that's applicable.
Exactly.
The laws.
And even when we look at it, most of these abduction cases that we have recently, we find that most of the people that get caught at the end, they aren't even South African nationals. And that is another worry that we need to look at. Another thing that is always in the back of my mind, and I'm appealing to people about this particular thing, is that stop posting everything, because like Fazloodien said, you put stuff on there that can be traumatizing to other people. And also, look what happened last year. All the fake kidnappings, you just see a car and now you got to post, I saw a car on the road. How many cars are driving past you every day? If there weren't kidnappings, you wouldn't even have posted. Somebody, an innocent guy, lost his life. His child lost a father, because now a car stops, you're standing at a bus stop and you are dressed to kill, and you know what guys are like. They're going to check you out, and just because they look at you, you run across the road and you're going to post now, almost was abducted in Heidefield. Nobody wanted, you just look good. People want to look at you, but now you put it in people's minds that somebody is out there. Now they see a black car, they attack this poor guy, kills the guy that is totally innocent of it. So when it comes to the laws within the country, people always ask, where's the police? I don't think any criminal is going to call the police to say, you know what, we're going to abduct somebody in Mitchell's Plain in Spine Road. Nobody's going to do it. So the police are trying their best. We know there are the corrupt ones that's going to turn a blind eye, but the police are trying their best, but they can't be everywhere. We've got somewhere in our minds, we've got to be honest with ourselves, and we got to be the vigilant ones. If I see somebody approach a child that I know, then I've got to go there and what's going on here? I've got to make, as the adult, I've got to be the protector of their child. That is why we forgot about the thing about your child is my child. Same thing is happening. People are robbing people on the streets. I'm going to walk past because it's not happening to me. The day it happens to me, then I want to ask, why didn't anybody help me? But when somebody else was in the same situation, I didn't step up. So we as society, we got to be more conscious of what we are doing. Cell phones, it's a very big contributor to a lot of things, and we don't see it. The laws that the government have, the reason why they don't want to bring the death penalty back is because a lot of people were hanged back in the day that were completely innocent, and after the person was hung, they found out that this guy is actually innocent. We want to push one thing in order to help something else, but nowadays with the way we are looking at things, everybody blames somebody else. I find somebody broke into my house, it must be his child because his child is a drug addict. I don't even have the facts. So the death penalty is something that I'm a bit wary of. When people talk about the death penalty, I always tell them, don't let it be your child tomorrow. You can sign a petition today, tomorrow your child can be the one that's going to be strung up there, or is going to have a needle in his arm, or is going to have a noose around his neck.
So let me ask you this question, and I hear you clearly, and there's a lot of people who's of the same opinion. What would be more of a deterrent than the death penalty?
More of a deterrent, I'm going to be honest with you, having been in prison, it's not a place that you want to be. People are
so
always
just a point of clarity there. You said now that you have been.
Yeah, I've been in prison.
Like you haven't been.
No, I've been in prison. I've been in prison, and people say it's hotels. I don't think that you're going to find a hotel that lock you up 1:30 in the morning, and then you go to wait until break in the afternoon, and then you will only have a half an hour exercise at 7:30 in the morning.
I just want you to reply on the aspect of a deterrent.
As a deterrent.
As a replacement for the death penalty.
Yeah.
But I also want to make this claim quickly, right? Or the statement that many people out there live a very difficult life in society, and they find it better in prison.
Finding it better in prison, that a lot of people have that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
There's that understanding.
That understanding. Yeah.
They get their bed, they get their food,
clothing,
they save,
warm water,
they enjoy
everything.
themselves.
You get it.
They even have cell phones and drugs.
Okay.
That's what's the narrative being put out there.
Okay. I'm being honest with you, Fazloodien.
Let's focus on the first one.
Yeah.
Quick, right?
I'm always honest with people.
Yeah. Right.
Myself, I had my cell phones.
Yes.
When they take a cell phone, the one warder even said, "We know you. Before we lock up, you're gonna have another cell phone. That's part of prison." You understand? Because a cell phone has become such a necessity, not only outside but inside.
But it's also a luxury, isn't it?
Huh?
It's also a luxury.
People see it as a luxury, but just imagine.
In jail, it's a luxury. It can't be a necessity.
No, it is a necessity. Seriously.
Not in jail.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to have communication.
You are looking at. You see now, there's a difference. I always tell people, you are looking at it from the point of view as being a law-abiding citizen.
Yes.
That is your point of view.
Right.
But if you're in prison, you still have family, you still have children.
Yeah.
If you're gonna wait until a Saturday for 10 minutes to make a call, who are you actually gonna call with 10 minutes? If you're gonna talk to your wife before you can talk to your children, 10 minutes are gone.
But that's the consequences of committing crimes.
Yeah.
Is being limited in terms of your access to society, including your family. That's the system.
Yeah, there's a system, but unfortunately, the system is in place, and when you are there, like I always make this example, you find a new guy comes in. I borrow in my cell phone, my bro, you can make a call to your mother them, and his mother them will blow up. We don't want you near cell phones. You got to get out. But believe me, the end of the call is always, what network do you use so we can send you airtime?
Oh,
you understand?
My word. Ismail, I just want to get Faizel's opinion. We need to go for another break.
Oh yes.
Or we might even just end the episode for today. What do you think, Mr. George? The time break. Okay. We good for another time break. But before we go for a break, Faizel, just give us roughly your opinion on this hot topic of having access to cell phones and all the luxuries in jail. Let's look at that.
Well, okay. I thank God. Firstly, I've never been in jail. I've watched documentaries and stuff. That's as close as I will ever get, I hope.
Inshallah.
I mean, yeah, look, I think the problem is with people that's inside and outside, man. It's accountability for our actions. It seems now from our experienced guest that even when you have been charged and sentenced for a crime, we still don't feel that we should be accountable for that crime completely. So we still want to see where we can, beat the
Get away.
system here,
Yeah.
or twist, yeah, loophole or a little thing. So yeah, it comes down to the moral fiber again, man. I don't know if people with a better guard standing or better prisoners. I can't say. Perhaps I guess can explain to us further later on.
Right.
What type of different personalities and what different characters we have, perhaps with different connections to God.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that our Creator can save us from anything.
Thank you, Faizel. Ladies and gentlemen out there, viewers and listeners, you are listening to Reality Check Online Radio, and as you can see, the topic is quite hot. We need to go for a break. When we come back from the break, I want to touch again on the solutions to the death penalty as a deterrent, and then we will also talking about other legal issues in our country. One being fraud, and the other being corruption, cyber bullying, house breakings, business breakings. Child maintenance is also our topic that we want to cover as well. But we have to go for a break, and I'll see you after this. Thank you.